Hello and welcome to ET Now Startup Central, India's first and only daily show dedicated to startups, technology and entrepreneurship. I'm Chandra Shrikant coming to you live from India's startup capital, Bengaluru, and we have a special interview on the show today. Now, by the technical definition of a startup, this really won't fit because it's 21 years old, more than 2 decades old. But this is one company that's always been on the radar of aspiring entrepreneurs, investors who've been unsuccessful in really putting money there. We're talking about Zoho, the cloud-based services company, the SaaS company from Chennai, co-founded by Sridhar Vembu, his brothers, and Tony Thomas. Now, he's perhaps one of the few founders from India who's built a world-class company and done it while shunning VC capital of any form till date. They have been bootstrapped, built it from scratch with the revenues of nearly $400 million, though that's something that they do not disclose. They are in news today for launching Zoho One, an integrated suite of apps that aims to be the operating system for businesses. And Sridhar Vembu joins me from Chennai to really take us through this announcement. Sridhar, for the benefit of our viewers, really take us through this launch, what it means for Zoho, and why it's really going to be important for you going forward.
So today we are launching what we call Zoho One, which is, we call it the operating system for business. That's the complete suite of Zoho, that is over 38 cloud applications and 55 plus mobile applications, all packaged together in one suite with one price, with one account, and every employee in a business can use any of the applications. That's what we are doing, and we call that Zoho One, and our moniker for it is the operating system for business. So it's very important for the industry as well, because for the first time, all of the applications you need to run an entire business is available for one account at one price. That's what is really important about this announcement.
Sridhar, is this really, your answer to the likes of Salesforce? I mean, the pricing looks pretty competitive, but do you see large companies adopting Zoho One?
Yeah, the pricing, globally our price is $30 per user per month for all of these applications together. In India, we are even more aggressive. It is actually 1,000 rupees per person per month, per employee per month. That is how we are pricing it for all the entire suite together. Suite of applications. And this is actually intended for companies of any size. In fact, at Zoho Corp with 5,000 employees, now we are on Zoho One. So we really strongly believe that this can actually work from small to mid-sized to large enterprises. And we are seeing a lot of interest in it already. We have not actually officially unveiled it. Today is the formal launch, but we are already seeing a lot of interest based on the scuttlebutt in the industry that we're seeing. And we have signed actually over 300 or 400 customers who expressed interest in it just based on hearing about it. We have not even announced it yet, just they expressed interest based on hearing about it. So we are seeing a tremendous interest from small businesses to all the way to very large companies as well.
Sridhar, one a concern that people seem to have is, if this platform will have the depth and flexibility needed for large implementations. How would you really address that concern?
That's a really good question. If you look at Zoho Suite, it has evolved over the last 10 years. This is not the first thing we are announcing. There's actually a culmination of a process of application building over the last 10 years now. And so we have taken deliberate steps from the beginning, from CRM to project management to our creator suite to our email and productivity, HR, business intelligence. In each of these areas, we are very strong. We have a strong offering. In fact, we'll continue to expand all those offerings. Zoho One is actually a complete suite that brings all of those together in one umbrella and one price. So we actually continue to deepen the product portfolio, broaden it, and make it really extensible and customizable to suit very large customers as well. And it also comes from the need that it is running inside Zoho Corp. So we have to actually make it fit our own needs. We are a fairly large enterprise now with 5,000 employees. So if it suits us, it definitely will suit a lot of large corporations as well.
Sridhar, one other concern that people seem to be raising is, the implementation without the presence of a strong field force. I mean, Zoho traditionally has depended on remote sales. Will that really work going forward, especially in emerging markets like the Middle East, which seem to be looking up? I mean, will you have to now beef up your field sales force? Is that on the agenda?
So what we are doing is we are actually, as part of Zoho One, we are also announcing a concierge offering where we will provide assistance to companies to adopt and implement the Zoho One suite. That's the first step. The second, we are also training our partners. We have almost 5,000 partners worldwide. We are training them to be able to support and implement Zoho One and sell it throughout the world. We have 5,000 partners around the world. We are expanding the partner outreach as well. So that is also a core part of our strategy to make sure that we are able to provide the services around Zoho One.
And is there a target geography that you're working with? I mean, based on the price, India is obviously going to be a big focus. 1,000 rupees per month per employee is really competitive compared to what a Salesforce offers. And the global price also at $30 per employee per month is, I think, 1/3 or 1/5 the cost of a CRM implementation alone, that some of the bigger ones will offer. So what's going to be your target geography as far as Zoho One is concerned?
Today, actually, Zoho is split about evenly, about 45% to 50% comes from US for us revenue, and the remaining comes from the rest of the world. Europe and emerging markets altogether account for now about 50% of our revenue. We are actually seeing faster growth outside the US than in the US right now. So we expect that to continue. Zoho One is attractive everywhere. In fact, we are launching globally today in over 25 countries. We are actually today present and launching this directly, and in other countries we are launching it through partners. So we are really aggressive about this, and we are going to make this a global phenomenon. That is our real intent with this.
And is there a revenue milestone that you're attaching to Zoho One in terms of, how it's going to contribute to your overall top line going forward?
Yeah, so if you look at it, we look at Zoho One, the potential addressable market even today is over 100 million people who work in businesses everywhere around the world. And within 5 to 10 years, as cloud adoption, broadband adoption spread everywhere, all of the businesses will come online this way. We see a potential for over 1 billion people possible for something like Zoho One. That is why we are really bullish on it. That's what our objective is. Our stretch goal over the next 10, 15 years is 1 billion people should be able to use Zoho One.
Sridhar, Zoho One aside, one area where Zoho has been really active in the last few months, has really been on GST. I mean, there's been an entire ad blitzkrieg for Zoho Books. So how has the adoption been? Have you seen, a lot of uptake for Zoho Books among SMBs in the smaller towns of India?
Yes, we are actually, in fact, the last month we have been extremely busy with the launch of GST. We had the software ready actually about 3 or 4 months ago. We announced in April the GST edition. And once GST was formally adopted throughout the country, we saw our volumes in terms of the sign-ups, the customer calls, all that explode. In fact, we have had to expand our support offerings quickly in the last month. And we are adding also local language support. We used to mostly Zoho operated in English in India. Now we are adding everything from Hindi to Tamil to Telugu, Marathi. All of those languages will be added now in terms of support offerings, because it's based on need from tier 2 and tier 3 cities we are seeing, and smaller towns. We are seeing tremendous demand for Zoho Books.
And Sridhar, how has the government API been in terms of GST? And do you think, I mean, you spoke about local language support, but do you think the software needs to be in vernacular languages as well, considering the reach it will potentially have, particularly for small and medium businesses?
Yeah, I believe so. That is, it's going to now because GST is now democratizing and creating a level playing field throughout India. And therefore, it has to, all of these has to be translated into all of the languages. And we are going to be at the forefront of this. We already, so we know how to do this. Zoho operates in over 35 global languages now. So we are going to now expand our suite in all the Indian languages as well, particularly starting with the whole accounting software, because that's the entry point into business, particularly very small business. So you are going to see us much more active in that area now.
Sridhar, the last few interviews I checked, you had mentioned that you have, I think, nearly 20 million users, and revenues were pegged at 360 to 370 million dollars. Any numbers that you can share as far as where Zoho stands now?
We have crossed over 30 million just now. Actually, we have reached a milestone of 30 million users globally. And revenue we don't disclose. We are a private company. All I will say is that we have been profitable. We are able to do all this without ever depending on private equity or venture capital funding or public markets. We are able to do all this. So the business is doing extremely well.
The other trend that we've really seen is, so many of your ex-employees starting up on their own. We've seen that with Freshworks, we've seen that with Zargit, I think, and a few others. What do you really make of this? I don't know if I should call this the Zoho Mafia, but what do you make of this trend?
It's, we anticipated this. We are really happy that it's happening in a way, because it's the way that natural outcome of a company succeeds in a brilliant way. It creates a lot of ecosystem around it. We are very happy that Chennai has now become a major cloud hub thanks to Zoho, and we hope that a lot more will happen as we scale up further and further.
And will you, invest in a startup, and why? And, what do you really look for in an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I primarily look for people who want to stay for the long haul. So one of the things that I've been critical of is this exit focus that has come up, unfortunately. And I don't like the word exit. I look for people who are in it for the long haul, who are in it for life, who are in it to create a transformation. That's what I really look for.
I'm going to come back to the exit bit, but take us through where you see the SaaS ecosystem heading. I mean, are B2B startups finally getting their due in India? Because there's been so much of focus, earlier on IT services and, in the last few years on consumer internet. So has the time really come for B2B enterprise focused startups now?
Yes, and it's part of the broadening of the Indian tech ecosystem. That's how I see it. Naturally, now you're going to see a lot more of the B2B enterprise focused plays, and you are seeing AI, machine learning startups. You're seeing a lot of that activity. It's also part of the next generation of young people who are coming out of college in India are much more ambitious, and that's really good for India, and I'm really proud of this. I'm really happy to see all these trends. The one thing that I will caution though is people should be careful about thinking just spending money is equivalent to making money. Often people confuse the two. It's very easy to go spend 10, 20, $50 million in venture capital, but it's really hard to make 10 million, 50 million in revenue. So I do hope that people keep that balance in mind.
What would your advice then be for Sridhar, who, for budding, aspiring entrepreneurs, engineers, students who really look up to you as someone who's managed to build this global SaaS company from scratch, bootstrapped it till date without any, money from VCs? What would your advice be for these aspiring entrepreneurs?
Yeah, I can speak to people who want to bootstrap their businesses. What I would advise is find a small niche that is overlooked, because if you go after a very big market in the very beginning, at the get-go, if it's a market is big and it's obviously big, you're going to see billions and billions in capital flowing in. So it might be hard for a bootstrapped person to survive against money thrown that way. But if they go into small niches where there's maybe $1 million market, maybe 5 million, 10 million revenue, and find a niche like that, it's usually VCs won't be interested in those types of opportunities. But you can keep a long-term grand ambition in mind and still build steadily towards it. That's how we have done it in Zoho, where first 20 years we have been working on these problems. And in fact, the Zoho One operating system that we are announcing today, this has been in the works for the last 10 years. We've been building up towards it. And that's actually really a model that I recommend highly, particularly for people with a long-term orientation.
So Sridhar, is scale overrated then? This whole, a philosophy of go big or go home, scale, scale, scale. You think that is a bit overrated?
Those are, when you think about it from a person who's say 22 or 23, 25-year-old, you have a long inning. I mean, you have maybe 40 years of work life ahead, 50 years maybe ahead. Why think only in 3 years, 5 years? I mean, it's not, and second, this whole idea that you can get rich quick or you can somehow grow instantly fast, that's really a lottery ticket. There is no guarantee that it can happen. And in fact, most cases, if you expect that to happen, it likely won't. So it's more of an accident that you hit that. If you hit a gold mine, yeah, so enjoy it. But you cannot count on it. You cannot count on winning the lottery. But the way that I talk about, if you have a 10-year, 20-year, 25-year time frame in mind, you can actually systematically reach your goals. So it's more of a sustainable path that way.
But, there is another school of thought that says, you shouldn't become so emotional as an entrepreneur about your venture. Exit is a good thing because it creates value for everyone. Where do you really stand as far as this is concerned?
If you really look at long-term companies we admire, everyone from Apple to Honda to all of these companies, the reason we admire them and we buy their products is because they stuck to their knitting, they executed their vision over a long haul. That's really important. I don't see how you can build world-class products in anything without that commitment. You cannot do it with a 2-year, 5-year time frame in mind. And you definitely, in fact, speaking particularly in the Indian context, we have a lot to learn. In a lot of areas, we are still catching up with the world, the rest of the world, where they are. And without that 20-year, 25-year commitment, we really cannot excel in anything. So to create that excellence, we must focus and execute with the long-term vision. So that is why I am such a proponent of that idea.
Finally, before I let you go, Sridhar, one other initiative that you've been pursuing is the Zoho University, where you pick up high school, students who've just completed high school, you train them in programming for a year and then you recruit them. So where does that initiative stand today? And, will you look at taking this beyond the small towns of Tamil Nadu to other states as well?
Yeah, we are planning towards the end of the year, you can expect an announcement. We are going to branch out outside of our state, our home state where we are in now. We are going to make steps outward this year, but that you can expect later part of this year.
Wonderful talking to you, Sridhar. We will, of course, track the progress of Zoho One in the next few months. But moving away from that to the big funding story of the day. Now, EdTech startup Byju's is on a roll when it comes to fundraising because they've yet again raised another round of funding, this time from China's Tencent. Now, Byju's hasn't disclosed the size of the round or, valuation. But from what we understand from our sources, though Byju's is not yet a unicorn, it is getting there in terms of valuation. Byju's has also said that it will use funds from Tencent to pursue inorganic strategy, to go after more acquisitions and to also invest in product development. Remember, they acquired Tutor Vista recently, so looks like they are on the prowl again. But this is an EdTech startup that you should be tracking closely. They were in very close contention with Swiggy to back that ET Startup of the Year. Swiggy won out in the end, but Byju very much in the reckoning as far as fundraise goes. On that note, we come to the end of this edition of ET Now Startup Central. Thanks so much for watching.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/etnow and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ET Now Live. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/ETNow.